Hello friends, today I'm going to show you the 10 best chess traps you can set up in order to either win a game or a queen or any significant material. But before we start, I'm going to thanks chess.com as most of the references are taken from their website. So friends, at number one we have Noose Arc Trap. The Noose Arc Trap is all about trapping the white light squared bishop after a series of forcing moves. This trap is for black in the Ruy Lupis opening. Here, white starts with e4, black responds e5, knight f3, knight c6, and bishop to b5. This is Ruy Lupis opening, as you all know. Here, black plays a6, bishop goes to a4, then d6 is being played. d4 by black, but instead of capturing this pawn, black plays attacks onto the bishop on b5. Bishop goes to b3 as that's the only legal move available for the bishop, and then knight takes d4, and that's the beginning of the trap where knight takes d4 and then e takes d4, and if queen takes d4, and then I would say white falls into right into the trap where c5 can be played attacking onto the queen can if seem greedy and can go on to d5. Here white thinks if you move c4 and takes my bishop, I will take your rook. So that's the thought process white has at the moment. But here bishop will come onto c6, attacking onto this queen, and this rook is also being saved. But now here white can go and go to c6, check. Bishop comes back again onto d7. Queen has the either can go on to b5 b7 or come back to d5. D5 is more safe square because it has room to move here, but now the bishop is being trapped at c4. So this was the Noose Arc Trap where light square bishop is definitely falling. Second is legal trap. This trap is all the way from the 18th century and named after Sire de Legal. The favorite trap for most chess players involves a beautiful queen sacrifice here. Here white starts with e4, black responds e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4. Here black plays d6. It's a slightly dubious move, and it helps black helps the center, takes control of the center, but it neglects the development. I would say the better move here for black is either knight f6 or bishop c5. But anyways, if black plays d6 here, knight c3 from white, and bishop to g4 from the white. White plays h3 and bishop goes to h5. From here, this position, capturing this knight is a bit unnecessary because white will again capture the bishop and directly attacks on this weak f7 pawn. So this is completely unnecessary. So black, I'm very sure most of the players move bishop h5, and that's the start of the trap. White can play here knight takes e5, giving away the queen, and if there's a better move here is to capture this this knight, But if black feels greedy and captures the queen and then black is gone, bishop takes f7 check, and queen king moves to the only legal square available for the king is e7, and then knight d5 check is checkmate. It's a beautiful checkmate. All three pieces, minor pieces, coordinates each other to create a checkmate. One thing I must say you should remember here: do not start this trap from this position. You must play from this position. From sorry, just give position. Do not start capture here at this position, because if your bishop is at g4, inst instead of capturing this um, queen, black can capture this knight with this knight easily, and then you'll be a piece down. Friends, this was a legal trap for you. At number three, we have Cambridge Springs Trap, which comes out of a popular sequence of moves in the Queen's Gambit Declined, where white starts with d4, black responds d5, c4, Queen's Gambit, e6, Queen's Gambit Declined, knight c3, and knight f6, bishop to g5, pinning this knight and attacking onto this queen. So knight to d7. This is very common move order for black, which is very flexible. But here c takes d5 and e takes d5. The natural move, well, let's say knight takes d5. White tries to take advantage of the pinned knight at f6, but this is basically a mistake. Black can play knight to d5, offering the queen. So bishop to d8, bishop takes d8, queen goes, but bishop to b4 check, and here there is no other option, there is no other way for the white than to protect this check from the queen. Bishop takes queen, uh, and check. So kings takes d2 and kings takes d8, and black has won a piece in this trap.
Number 4, we have the Lasker Trap. It is named after the second world champion Emmanuel Lasker played this. The best part of this trap that it involves the rare under promotion to the knight. So this can be set up when white plays d4, black responds with d5, then c4, which is a queen's gambit, but e5, aggressive element counter gambit. D takes e5 and then d4. Why d4? Because black wants to block this square for the natural, which is natural square for the knight to develop. And if white plays e3, that is a serious mistake, because then bishop b5, bishop b4 will come in, and which will be check. And since the c3 square is blocked, uh, bishop d2 is the only logical move, but then it comes d takes e3. um, Here bishop takes b4, but here comes more another further move, which will be e takes f2 check. From this point, basically it is now white is falling into the Lasker trap. So if you capture this from your king, say king takes f2, then queen takes d1, you will lose the queen here. Or if you move this your king to say king e2, then it will be say f takes g1 knight, and it will again be a check. So here on this position there are two possibilities: either um, king to e1 or rook takes g1. So let's have a look at both of them. Say for example, if rook takes g1, then bishop to g4 check, we will lose the queen. And if I go back here and say if king goes to e1, then queen to g4 check, queen h4 check. And if you block it by, say for example, g3, then queen to e4 check, and then now you will be losing your rook anyway. So black is winning here in all cases. And let's to say for example here you try to run away with your king at d2, then knight c6 attacking onto this bishop, bishop to c3, and then bishop g4 attacking onto this queen. And if you come with, say for example, bishop e2, and then long castle with check, will you will lose, white will lose the queen here. So Lasker trap is very deadly, and you need to be careful playing e3, if you remember. At number 5, have a look at the Rubenstein Trap. It is named after another chess giant, Akiba Rubinstein. This trap at the very least wins you a pawn, but also can trap the black queen if black is greedy. So let's have a look. It starts with when white plays d4, black responds with d5, knight f3 and knight f6, c4, Queen's Gambit, which is Queen's Gambit declined, which is e6, bishop to g5, pinning the bishop and attacking onto the queen. Sorry, attacking onto the queen. Then knight to d7, e3, and bishop to e7. Then knight c3 and black castles, and then rook to c8, c1, sorry, and then rook to e8, and then queen to c2, and then a6. Here from this position, c takes d5 and e takes d5, and then bishop to d3 and then c6. So here white castles, and knight to e4. So attacking on this bishop, so bishop to f4, and then f5. Basically this is a careless mistake, and now the trap comes in. White knight takes d5. White has won a critical center pawn. Now black cannot recapture this due to the queen being trapped. So I'll show you how. Say for example, this c takes d5, and then bishop to c7, and this queen is now trapped. At number 6, we have the Siberian Trap. This trap in the Smith-Morra Gambit has claimed many victims of all levels. It seems as though white is just making natural developing moves, and then all of the sudden loses the queen or even gets checkmated. So let's have a look. It starts when white plays e4, c5 Sicilian defense, then d4, c takes d4, c3, d takes c3, and knight takes c3. White plays the aggressive Smith-Morra gambit to combat the Sicilian. Here, knight plays c6, knight f3, and then e6. Bishop to c4, and then queen c7. Basically, discover attack onto the bishop. So white castles and knight f6. Queen e2 supporting the bishop here. But then all of the sudden here comes another move, which is knight to g4. And this is basically moving the same piece twice in the opening is justified here. Black takes over the initiative and starts to attack. And if you play h3, you will be falling right into the Siberian trap, because black has multiple threats onto this position. One is knight to d4, which will be attacking onto the queen, and here queen to h2 is also a checkmated threat. So say for example, if you, to avoid the checkmate, so let's say that's the move for for black, knight to d4. If you capture the knight, say h takes g4, then you will be losing the queen. Or if not, say for example, you try to capture this knight, and so then queen to h2 check will get you checkmated as well. So that's the Siberian trap, friends. Please be aware when playing a Smith-Morra Gambit. This is very, very common in all levels of chess. At number 7, we have the Fajarowicz Trap. Please pardon me if I'm not pronouncing it correctly. This sneaky trap comes out from the Budapest Gambit opening, and black ends up sacrificing two minor pieces in order to win the white's queen. So let's have a look. It starts with d4 and knight f6, c4, and e5, the Budapest Gambit. D takes e5 and knight to e4. Yeah, knight to e4. This risky Fajarowicz variation. White plays knight f3 and d6, where e takes d6 and bishop takes d6. So a very serious mistakes most of the players do is playing here g3, and that is a lot of people made this mistake. And what you can do here is you sacrifice a piece, say knight takes f2, and when uh, king takes f2, bishop to g3 check, and you will be winning the king queen here. So say either king g2, or even take king to say king takes g3, and you will be winning a queen here. At number 8, we have the Blackburn Shilling Trap. In this trap, black violates all the basic opening principles in order to catch white off guard. At first, it looked like black is playing carelessly, um, but uh, but you can see who is really in trouble. This trap comes out of a variation of the Italian game. So let's have a look. Here, white starts with e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and bishop to c4, where knight to d4, where knight to d4. A dubious move, but white has to be careful. Knight takes e5. This greedy but obviously moves gets white in trouble. So here queen to g5, attacking onto this knight as well as on this uh, pawn. But if white continues to greed and get more and getting more into the trouble, say knight takes f7, so here queen to g2, queen takes g2 in fact. Uh, so attacking onto this rook, so rook to f1, and then queen to takes e4 check. There is no other option. So um, bishop to e2, defending, protecting the check, but knight to f3 check will get nice checkmated. It is something smoother to end the game, but yes, that's another very, very cheeky little trap. At number 9, we have Englund Gambit Trap. Black's bravery, or you can say carelessly, meets d4 with e5. This is about as provocative as you can get when playing an opening as black. This trap has several neat tactical ideas and ends in black checkmating white despite not that many pieces being engaged. So let's have a look. It starts with d4 and then black plays e5. This aggressive and dubious gambit is called the Englund gambit, where d takes e5 and then knight c6 attacking onto this pawn. So of course you will protect the pawn with knight to f3, but then queen e7 double attacking the pawn. So this sneaky move which has more ideas than just winning back the e5 pawn. So here if you if white plays bishop f4, then that's how you basically um, start the trap from here. So queen b4 check. So basically it's a check. You are attacking onto this bishop and also on this pawn. So not everything can be saved there. So bishop to d2, uh, and then queen takes b2. So say you move bishop to c3 attacking onto this queen, but then bishop to f b4 pinning the bishop. That's a very rare pin you usually find. Here queen comes on d2 supporting this bishop, but here bishop takes c3, and then when queen captures recaptures at c3, white uh, queen to c1 check is basically a checkmated. So have a look, guys, just to protect the rook, how bigger the problem was. So that was a Jungland gambit. So this is the last of the series. This is called Fishing Pole Trap. Is another fun move against the Roy Lopez. So I'll show you. This trap is really fun to try in your online or in-person blitz games especially. So where whites start e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and bishop to b5. So that's basically popular Roy Lopez. So here knight to f6 and white castles, and then and now knight to g4, an aggressive move with a hidden trap. So here usually players come up with h3, where white wants to get rid of this risky knight, and then it comes h5. That's the fishing pole where h takes g4, and again h takes g4 attacking onto this knight as well. So knight to e1, and then queen comes h4, targeting checkmate here. Now you see the idea of checkmate. So um, white tries to say play f3, making a room for the king to move, run away from there, but g3 even closes that door, and now there is no options left. You can play anything, say d4 or whatever, and the next move is basically checkmate, queen to h2. So friends, that's all in my videos for all the traps which you can try in your own games. Let me know how you like this video. Do give your comments and kindly subscribe to this channel for more further future fun videos. Till then, take care. Bye bye.